Friday night in New Harmony, and you can see it's starting to fill up. We've got Sarah's Wine Bar and beer. They serve Harmony Ale. Just a beautiful little building here on the corner. Quite fancy, and I love that they've painted it all out in a Victorian manner. Or maybe you prefer barbecue. There'll be a bunch of that around here this weekend too, because it looks like that's one of the food vendors for the New Harmony Antique Show and Appraisal Fair. And the Appraisal Fair, well, that's me, because there are a bunch of antique dealers in the middle of New Harmony. What a great town. I'm just so excited. This is the third year I've gotten to come here, and it's just such a wonderful place, tucked away in such an obscure corner of America that at one time was extremely important, utopic, and had all sorts of amazing people, intellectuals, industrialists in the early era who had a different idea about how workers should be treated and communities should be formed, who thought women should be educated. It was an extremely interesting, dynamic, and progressive place right by the Wabash River. So it's kind of appropriate that for the last 21 years, there has been an antique show here in New Harmony. There's several antique shops as well, and we'll see some of them along this street. There are some on the side streets. There's also art galleries. When antique stores start to take over a little town, art galleries and specialty stores follow, and it makes a really nice mix of things, especially to those of us who like antique and vintage. This John Deere was built in 1941, just before the Second World War. A very stalwart and sturdy machine. And then these are a little more streamlined, like race cars of their era. These are the Cockshut tractors from Canada. These were both made in 1957. There's a Golden Arrow and a Black Hawk. A lot of these are vendors who just come in for the show, but some of them are the stores that are along the street putting things out. And this is Just Looking and Backbeats. They've got a great music selection in the back, Backbeats, lots of vinyl, but Just Looking is a little different than a lot of the places here because it's a little more to mid-century and modernist and boho. Look at that carpet, right out of the 70s. Laura Caldwell would buy that, and I'm going to try to as well in the morning. I will have to come back in the morning. People will be opening these up in the morning. There is security here, of course, and besides, a whole bunch of people are around. This is the Ribeyre Auditorium. And the Ribeyre is where I am going to be doing the appraisal fair tomorrow. You can see the sign there behind the Scout Troop Food and Drink. Farmers and Artisans Market is going on. And then down there at the Working Men's Institute is going to be a big book sale and Friends of the Library. It is the original and oldest of the Working Men's Institute libraries in the country. Wow. Well, that's great news, though. So
Pat's been in the business for 48 years, so he just has a lot of stuff.
Oh, that'll be a lot of fun to see. Well, I just talked to Don from that shop, and he told me that a new fella has bought 2 buildings here, and Artifacts is going to be the first store. Now, a lot of what you see here is from when it was a doll store for a very long time. It was very successful and well-known and widely known, but the person who owned that matured out of it, and it was time to sell to a new owner. So great building. He says that these are the things that they're actually trying to move on because they have a huge amount of stock out of state, and that is why they want to open an antique store in New Harmony, which is great. And then you see a really cool Chinese gong over there. There's some talk of maybe a music-related entity there, but we shall see what happens. This space is full of rust and rustic, and it looks great. If you're not into this, this won't be your thing. But if you're into this, the way you put this together has so much to do with how it looks and how it displays and how you can use it in a house. Those candlesticks, I think, are fantastic. I've always liked them. They're kind of chippy and worn. And when you're doing these sorts of things, that is actually what you're after. So it makes a lot of sense in a certain decorating scheme. I certainly prefer this to newly painted farmhouse. Next door, there's going to be lemonade and a bunch of really cool signs. These are the folks from Firehouse Antiques, and I'm not going to interrupt them right now while they're setting up. But boy, they have a great store. They've done great things with that store since they got it a couple of years ago. Now, these were probably done in the 80s with the plastic feet, but wow, what great, sparkly, fantastic colors. And I think that where these bottles are, there will be a whole bunch of tables tomorrow coming out of that trailer. Duck! New Harmony Soap, another cute store dedicated to bath items and lotions and fun things like that. In a small area, it's really great to see a newspaper that is still serving the hometown. And it replaced the Centennial Saloon. Another neat building here. I've gotten to speak with the Posey County News a few times about the show and talk about the kinds of things that people bring. Oh, it looks like the ghost tour is underway. That would be interesting to have gotten on. I wish I'd seen it. I think New Harmony probably has a whole lot of ghosts. Hoosier Salon is fun because it is all Indiana-made art. This will be a place I'll have to get in. I see a lot of landscape, which right now is a very popular motif in art. Michael Janowski's spring shower, $145 oil on, looks like oil on board. That definitely reminds me of a lot of places in Western Indiana. I talk a lot about Robert Owen because of his very progressive labor and educational ideas, but the Harmonists were actually the first communal living attempt here in the 1814 to 1825 period, as you see. Even at dusk, the Yellow Tavern screams out with its color, and it looks like it's very busy, actually. It's quiet from outside, but it looks like it's pretty packed inside, and what a fun place. Antique Emporium is a place I like to shop. They do have a lot of dealers. It's a long and narrow store, so it's deceivingly big. And Vintage Harmony.
And we were fortunate to have some distinguished visitors to this year's show. This is Misty from Thrifter Junker Vintage Hunter and her husband Mark. And here is Sandy from My Flippin' Van Life.
Enjoy New Harmony's rustic Airbnbs. No, that's not right. These are historic cabins that have been here for a very long time. This has been here since 1814, right at the beginning of George Rapp and the Harmonists developments here. On the other hand, the Lenz house also dates from approximately 1820. In pioneer land, everybody did according to their means at the time and did better when they could. This is the New Harmony Conference Center. This is a big reason the inn is here. It can hold between 50 and 300 depending on the type of event that you're having. So it's a nice small to medium sized venue in a really wonderful place with all the lodging and everything right there. Behind New Harmony Inn, you see that they have some pretty great facilities and a lot of space back here. That's surprising. It comprises several buildings. I'm staying in Riverbend here, over past the world's most giant log chair is the waterfall. It's very pretty and tranquil here. They also have a very nice indoor swimming pool. So this does have modern features that you might like. Golf carts are sold out this weekend because everybody needs them to cart their antique stuff around, because downtown is literally a short walk down 2 streets. Talk about repurposing. Look at this here up close, and then look what it turns into when you pull back. They seem to be about peacefulness around here. And then through the very last door here is a little chapel. These tall, narrow proportions definitely date this house to Civil War era or earlier. This is Leather Leaf Inn across the street. There are a number of nice little bed and breakfasts and other lodging available here. There's a lot of very nice choices. We are in farm country and we are at a barn. In fact, it's Jeff and Cindy's barn. They have been selling here all day long. Well, Jeff has. And he said it was extremely busy. I'm not surprised. He's got the right kind of stuff. Let's see what he has that's new real quickly, and then we'll go have some food. I don't remember the Hampshire sign from last time. What a great pig graphic. There is a show in the Midwest, I think in northern Indiana, that happens once or twice a year. And it is all about agriculture advertising. And there is an entire group of people who, this is what they collect. And a lot of them, yes, have barns and live or lived in the country for a long time and have an affinity for this. And I just think there's some really fun, interesting graphical aspect to all of this. Wow. This building was a John Deere, really? Really? Ah.
It was an implement company in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, but they had John Deere dealership in 38, 39, sold 13 tractors. And that A sitting out there was one. So that's Richard.
One of the 13 is that one. Wow, that's cool. I assume these all came off the same Chevy truck in the early 1950s. You see the grill? And Rural Route 3, Nashville, Illinois. So maybe this was a wrecker or a hauler of some sort, or just a farm, and they just didn't have their name on it. Even today, New Harmony seems to be about achieving harmony and balance in a lot of ways, and it has a very, very quiet, nice, reverential feel to it. The museum sits in the background behind the labyrinth. The labyrinth was installed in New Harmony as a place for reflectful meditation as you pray and walk slowly through the labyrinth to the center, spend time on contemplating and letting go of outside distractions, and then come out changed by the experience, going back the same path that you came in. There's a metaphor to all of that, of course. Still inner courtyards and farmland between fencing here. This museum at dusk is very pretty. It's an interesting piece of modern architecture on the edge of New Harmony. This is the Athenaeum, home of the New Harmony Labyrinth t-shirt. Past the gift shop, you see a very interesting group of walkway possibilities. We'll take the middle. There's a big old millstone there. It's really amazing to see these old structures on the edge of this town that never gave up on the past, and now that is its future. New Harmony is a really interesting juxtaposition of new and some old ideas that seem really sound for today and would make modern living a lot nicer for a lot of people. So I really enjoy it here. I'm so glad I got to bring it to you, and I hope you get to come here sometime. If you're ever in Southwest Indiana or anywhere near, it's certainly worth the diversion. It is just a wonderful place.